I'll start with one very interesting tale of fox and turtle. Once upon a time, there was a fox who wanted to eat a turtle, but every time he tried to do so, he didn't succeed. He tried all kinds of means. The fox tried to shake the shell of the turtle, didn't work. Fox tried to beat up the shell, didn't work. Then fox tried to, pay money for the turtle because he wanted the turtle to remove its shell, and that's how he was going to eat a turtle. But turtle was wise. He knew that if he would have uncovered his shell, he would have been eaten. But also, turtle was kind of disturbed because this shell was very heavy to carry on. So the days were passing, nothing was working, until one day there appeared many televisions hanging on the trees in the forest. Turtle was very interesting. He started watching these televisions, and there were very interesting advertisements on the television. And these advertisements were advertising a turtle with a removed shell, how good was life with a removed shell, and how the happy turtles could fly. So turtle also wanted to fly, and he was thinking, what if I remove my shell? One day when the day was bright, turtle removed its shell. The turtle did not know and never will that information warfare and disinformation is a purposeful training of your enemy on how to remove its own shell. This is not my tale. This tale was written in the book, which was actually written back in 1998. And the name of the book is Philosophy of Information Warfare, written by, of course, Russian military analyst Sergei Rastorguev. To dive deeper into why are we working on disinformation, why all this data is so important while working on disinformation, just to have a clear understanding of what is disinformation. Disinformation is a false information deliberately or covertly spread in order to influence public opinion and obscure the truth. That's why we're seeing all this fake news, all these fake imageries, videos, etc. And it's not new tactics. We can hear that Russia, China, and some individuals, some bad actors are using it on a daily basis. We can hear, I'm sure that you can hear the word disinformation like minimum once in an hour. It's a very old practice. Actually, USSR was practicing it quite often. So they had this kind of word, active measures, and there were many components of what active measures were. Active measures was everything, but not a physical war. So when USSR wanted to influence their enemies, to win over their enemies, they of course did not want to use tanks or weapons. First, it was very expensive. So they tried different means like political repressions, like penetration into churches, assassinations. And one of these kind of tools was disinformation to influence the course of world events. And there is a very interesting case from USSR, the operation that USSR held, Operation Infection, or the AIDS disinformation campaign. You might heard about that. How it all started, back in 1993, local newspapers in India. Can you imagine the distance? In India. The name of the magazine was The Patriot. And the magazine published the story, which was telling that the AIDS was created after some mysterious experiment in the US military base. And the article was claiming that it was some kind of program, bioweapons program, held by the USSR, United States. So this article appears in India in 1983. After a couple of years, in 1986, some local USSR Russian newspapers are writing the articles that AIDS was created by the US. And guess which newspaper are they citing? You are right. They are citing the Indian newspaper. And they're telling that here you can see that it's not the USSR article, but the source comes from the foreign country. After a couple of years, basically in 1992, so it went viral. The story was viral. It reached even the US, and it reached even the national TVs of the US, which were talking about how and why US invented AIDS, blaming US for this kind of artificially created virus. The story was until former head of KGB admitted that it was planned by the USSR to discredit the US. So can you imagine how long-term the operation was, and how many people believe that the AIDS created artificially? Even now, there were some polls like back in the beginning of 2000s, and even many people believed in 2000s in this disinformation campaign as well. This is how it worked before. And why bad actors are using disinformation and all kinds of data that is available for us? Because it's cheap and fast now, because you just send a message or you just post a picture or video and it's there. And it causes confusion and fear. And when the society is confused, it's just very easy to break the society which is confused. But after the USSR, of course, the practices changed. We're just overflowing with a big flow of information, like information everywhere, data everywhere. And it's getting more and more hard to distinguish between reliable and not reliable information. And after this guy, Gutenberg, revolutionized the way he invented printing press, revolutionized the way how we are receiving information. Now we all have internet, we have mobiles and laptops, and it means that we are one click away from being exposed to disinformation and fake news. And just to draw your attention in which kind of environment we are living right now. There's a very interesting report from last year, the report by Oxford University, and I collected some data to show you in which kind of information we're living right now. According to this report, social media manipulation has more than doubled since 2017. Can you imagine the number? And the countries are using computational propaganda to manipulate the public opinion. And in countries, they mean governments. 7 countries have been attributed to cyber troop attacks. It means that the governments were using some cyber activities to attack other countries. 25 countries are working with private companies or strategic communication firms offering computational propaganda. So the governments are hiring some private companies to influence, to use the data available for us and influence our minds. And just a little statistics that 87% of the countries used human accounts to manipulate our minds, and the other statistics, as you might see on the screen. And the last but not least, Facebook remains the platform of choice for social media manipulation. And not only Georgia, but in many countries, many of our citizens are represented on Facebook, and they receive their daily information on Facebook. And that's why bad actors are using social media to manipulate and use disinformation. So what we are doing to fight all this, Digital Forensic Research Lab is one of the programs at the Atlantic Council, and our mission is to identify, expose, and explain disinformation using only open source data. And when we talk about open data, we mean many things, like data that one can find on social media, or some satellite imagery, some Google Maps or some other maps, Yandex Maps, for example, or just photos that were posted on Facebook, because photos can tell us many things that I'll be showing you later. Basically, we say that the open source data is everything that one can find in Google. And why is open source data this much important? It's highly accessible. It's there, you have to just search for it. Once something is posted, it's there, that's it. And the second priority and advantage of using open source data is that anyone can follow along the steps of analysis. For example, if you see how some researchers, for example, us at the DFR lab are searching and what kind of logic they are following to investigate some cases, it's there. You already know the techniques, so with little practice, you can just follow the steps yourself easily. We're working in directions. We're doing lots of bot analysis, like artificial actions on social media. We are analyzing narratives because disinformation narratives are very important because it's how people are managed, and it's how people be and deceived, and they don't make choices by themselves. We're monitoring elections, and it's crucial, and I'll be telling you why in a couple of seconds. And we're doing too much digital security. And we're uniting all this work under 3 pillars, which is democracy, security, and technology. So it means we're doing everything around disinformation under these pillars. To start, so I wanted to show you 2 examples of the DFR lab team's work, which we have done 2 years ago. And these 2 examples are really easy, and for those who have not worked with investigations, they will try to understand the logic of how we're searching for things or how we are using open source data to follow the disinformation, to explain it to people. And I forgot to mention that we're trying to pay more emphasis on explanatory part, because we believe that if you don't explain a problem to a person, they cannot really understand why. I mean, many people are saying that disinformation is bad. Okay, why? There's always question why. So in our researches and trainings, speaking engagements, we're trying to explain how the process is starting. And we call ourselves digital Sherlocks, and Sherlocks because we're explaining everything in how in the movies and books of Sherlock Holmes, the author is explaining. For example, something happened, then we found it, and then we followed the traces and the steps of the case, and this is what we exposed. This is what we found out. These are the tools that we used, and here is a result. It's a information. So this is how we're approaching this and explaining it in our articles. One of the directions that I mentioned is elections and election watch. And we've been covering elections on almost 5 continents in many, many countries. Actually, Georgia will be one of our priorities this year because bad actors and political parties and some interest groups are trying to influence elections by information, in pictures, videos, posts to discredit each other, to cause the artificial communication. So why, for example, when you go to Facebook and see that post is popular, it has, I don't know, 2K or 3K likes and 5 comments. You are interested what kind of post is so popular. It draws your attention. So you just go to the post and try to read. And here's a trick. Bad actors try to cause this kind of engagement artificially. They use bot and troll accounts to increase the engagement, to increase the number of likes, to increase the number of comments, and to draw attention. Once we're there, once we open the post and see what's in there, we're already exposed. And then it's hard to follow the steps and to debunk everything. And interesting cases, while talking about these elections, was this case that our team at the DFR Lab exposed. This case happened in 2017 when there were elections in Germany. There were parliamentary elections in 2017. And as you might remember, the anti-immigrant and anti-immigration and anti-Islam protests were all around Germany, because the country, as many other European countries, were facing huge flow of migrants from other countries. So people were protesting. There were also some cases of sexual harassment by the migrants of the local population. So this issue was quite hot. And one of the interesting things of disinformation and bad actors is that they try to find the topic that is very important for society, that society is very angry about, and they try to fuel it. Like in many cases, they don't invent the case, but they find a case that society is worried about, and they try to fuel it with negative emotions. And this was what the case about. Prior to German parliamentary elections in 2017, 5 actually, before the elections happened, one of the German parties, Alternative für Deutschland, it's a far-right German party, posted this image. And it was a fake imagery ahead of elections. And this image was recalling mass sexual assault in Germany in 2016. So back in 2016, there happened, and it's a fact that there happened mass sexual assaults in Germany. But this image was in 2017. And this party, Alternative für Deutschland, was posted on Facebook that this is a new photo, and that this German girl was sexually harassed by friends. And then in the comment section and in the other reposts and shares of the photos, they were calling people to protest the anti-immigration wave, and they had the slogans like end the violation and the mass rapes of the women. So they painted everything like this photo was pretty new, and this was happening right now in Germany. And can you imagine people who are already tensed about immigration issue, they are tensed about all the problem that Germany is facing, they see this photo prior to elections. This is how minds can be manipulated, because sometimes people just make decisions with their hot heart, and they just don't have time, or they just don't want to go deep into and analyze why this photo is posted, or is it fake or not. So we, of course, decided to check this photo, because even as you can see that something is wrong with this photo. We were pretty fast to use very basic techniques of Google reverse image search. For those who have not used it, it's when you go and you just upload it to Google, and the search section you can see the similar images. And we were pretty fast to see that the similar image existed, but it was not kind of same. We found out, yes, this kind of image was shot, but this had nothing to do with Germany. This image was shot in Egypt, and this image was from 2016. And this journalist, she was sexually harassed in Egypt. So the Alternative für Deutschland party used the background of the real image, real fact. Then we tried to search for a girl, which was on the first image, and the first search was not successful. So actually, this is one of the good tactics to use if you are searching for something and you are not successful with the results of your searches. We sometimes call for help for our community. And in this case, back then, DFRLab tweeted the photo of the girl and asked on the Twitter, guys, have you seen anybody use this woman? And it appeared that this girl was a British, and not, but some Twitter users just commented that, yes, I know this girl is a British model. And it took kind of couple of minutes to identify this girl. And yes, as I mentioned, it occurred that she was a British model, and her photo was kind of photoshopped in the image. But this image was fake in many levels, with the background, with the location, with the object, the main person on the photo. So this is the poster that she's from. Actually, I like this poster. And this was how the search looked like. Basically, verifying the image, that the photo of this girl was the British model, and that the background was the same. Of course, our team reached out the Alternative für Deutschland party, but they did not respond. They didn't say anything. Yes, we wrote the research and we tried to reach out as many people as possible, but it's always hard to cover all the public that is exposed to this information. But this case, the very easy example of this case, showed that you might need a couple of minutes to just Google photos, to just verify them, or maybe more, to just save democracy. Because how it affects democracy, it affects in the following way. If you see the manipulated photo and you go and vote, and your decision is based on this manipulated photo, it's a huge threat to democracy, because you have not voted with your decision, but no, you have voted because somebody just exposed to you to a disinformation and fake imagery. And again, the power of open source data is that it's there. Of course, there are some cases that it's really hard to find the photos, it's really hard to find location, but it's all about practice, and it's all about the help of the community to help each other to find the issues that we're searching for. In terms of security, and another easy case, with the quick and short, I wanted to show you is how our team of DFR Lab tried to identify Russian Arctic base using images. The case was very interesting. Back in 2017, Russian Ministry of Defense published a carefully selected footage that they were building a new military base in Arctics. And there was not much information about that, like how the military base was looking, or what was going on there. And it seemed like kind of brilliant piece of propaganda from Russia to show their military advantage and to deceive people that they have huge bases and how it looks like. Yes, there was a few information, but thanks to social media posts, the Russian ones, we were able to find out more about the new Arctic base. So what was the basic information that we were having on the very first step? We knew that this base was something there, as you can see on the screen, something somewhere in the Arctics. And these two photos were posted by Ministry of Defense of Russia. So this was the official information that we knew how the base was looking like. Of course, we were interested to find out more, like what kind of buildings there were and some other information. But Ministry was trying hard to kind of not spread any kind of information on that. There were a couple of days that we didn't have too much information until this guy, circled with red, he's very popular, the president of Russia. And when this guy goes somewhere, he's always accompanied by many journalists. And some of the Russian newspapers and TV shows actually showed this image. And this image is very powerful because on the background, you can see the whole, not whole, but a big part of the new base. But the problem was that we could only see the kind of half of the map. So we started searching, our team started searching for more photos on Russian social media. And the key here is that you can search for the keywords. And in many cases, as many Russian soldiers, or actually many people like to post selfies, you might be lucky to see and to come across a selfie that might reveal a lot. So when our team was searching for the keywords like base, employer, Arctics, just putting these keywords in Russian social media, they came across this photo. And this photo was posted by one of the employees of the new Arctic base, basically showing off how cool his new job was and showing like what's going on there. We were of course very happy to see this photo because we had much more information to see how were the buildings looking like, what was what. I mean, you can see the Russian titles on the buildings. But the problem was still remaining that the previous photo and this guy, everybody was standing on the right. I mean, we were lacking information on what was going on the right part of the map. And of course, our team was continuing to search for more until someone found this photo, Rebel, who decided to take a photo on the left side. And of course, we were so much happy for this guy who decided to take his photo on the left side. Now, of course, we put together those two photos, revealing the left and right side of the map. And we were able to see how actually the new Arctic base was looking like. We were able to detect, yeah, and of course we took the official photo, which was posted by Ministry of Defense of Russia. We took the photo, which was spread on social media, and then we had the full picture. This full picture was showing all kinds of buildings with all kinds of weaponry. And final thing, we applied this knowledge from 2017 on the previous case of 2015, because there was a case in 2015 when Russia built a military base, one more, but we were not able to find much information about that. So the photo on the left is the previous old military base. So now, as we can see the buildings, the shapes of the buildings, we can guess what they might be, because we already know how they look like in 2017. The search of the images is one of the key components of using open source data, because there is a huge flow of images that you can search everywhere, and they carry with themselves so much information that it's sometimes scary to think about what kind of information others, and of course we are posting on social media. But I'm stopping here, but I will really encourage you to stay tuned. Thank you so much for attention, and again, it's my pleasure to be here with you.